What up, what up, what up? Angro 10 bedded up. Look at how dirty this thing is from being up in the air. And all the grinding, no ventilation. Anyways, so yeah. The blue box Chevy that you seen the shorts on and stuff like that just left. That was from Milwaukee. I'm gonna get to notching on this frame. Get the bracing in there, get some notching on there. Start putting it back together. The car is coming off the frame. Got the bumpers off, front and back. A lot more work to do. Got the bare brakes. They just got in today. Big ass brakes. So that kit, it's got a red caliper. I think he's talking about changing the color of the caliper and getting a whole bunch of things powder coated, stuff like that. So all this is all for this Chevy. I got the bills all taken care of. Got some more. Got the front brakes all on this. The Oklahoma Cutlass. The whole front brake kit's on. Boom. Got to tighten up the spindles. Put the cotter keys in it. Coilovers are in it. Still got to get the new tie rods and stuff for it. Boom. Yeah. Got the parts car up there because a bearing went out. And let's see if I can show you guys. Yeah. So burnt the axle end. Burnt the axle up. Got too much heat. The housing end. Too much heat. So what ended up happening here is the axles. So when this rear end was ordered, I'm pretty sure it was ordered at a different length and then it was narrowed. Some horny motherfuckers? No. So the rear end was re-narrowed and you can see by the end of the housing where the weld is. Boom. Well, then they cut the axles down, but I don't know where they messed up. So the passenger side axle actually went all the way through. The splines went all the way through the first set of splines in the carrier into the left side. And the left axle was basically too short. So that axle was grinding inside of there, but it was putting pressure on the bearings because they were touching. I did the measurement of both axles, had them all out before I ordered everything. Measured it, and it come out wider than what the rear end is. So that means the axles were touching inside there. I had resealed this car because everything was leaking. The pig bolts were loose, and I resealed the outside because you had to take all that apart to get the pig out and all that. So the bearing, it didn't look bad, but I couldn't figure out why it was pressed off. It wasn't pressed all the way on. So I went and pressed it all the way on in the press back there. And then when I put it in, I saw it was hitting. So I was like, okay, I'll grind a little bit off. Well, I ground a little bit off. I didn't know that the right axle was all the way in there. I had no idea. And last time I had it apart, it wasn't chewed up like that. So it was probably locked in. And then once this bearing went bad, which was the cause of it, and the wheel pressure, sitting on the ground, all the weight was pressed up. I think that's why it tore up the other axle. But anyways, we got a new set of axles. They're in the back of my truck. Waiting on the housing ends and the anti-roll. This is the small 3/8 one. The link is gone. As you can see, the arm broke. It's all bent. The arm broke. Somebody welded it. I don't know who welded it. It wasn't like that last time. So now we're going to the billet one. So the billet one will be put on here. The billet links, which are the bigger links with the 1/2-inch bolts, that'll all be on there. So we got to get this thing tore apart today. Today is Thursday. I don't even know what date it is. Yep, that's the parts car. That's the 100K box. And yeah, that's where we're at on that. With the white car. Gonna come off the frame. But I gotta get the bracing and everything in there. That's what's going on with that. Of course, my raggedy bitch right here is just being pushed in and out. And the Cutlass, as soon as that motor gets out of here, I'll be able to drop the back frame out of it. All the brake lines are in that bag right there. Brake lines and fittings, I can get all those put on. Gotta cut the fenders because 26 is that wheel up there, the one for this car. As you can see, everything's Loctited. Sway bar, I gotta replace the sway bar. Well, I think this car had a stock sway bar, but of course we want the new sway bar, which is the big rim one with the bracket, so that way the wheel don't turn and hit it. Especially with the 26s, you want that. 24s touch it too, so yeah, it's always a good thing. It's a good thing that Q81 came out with. The sway bar for the big rims, big wheels. And yeah, for you guys that didn't see the little clips, got my son's first dirt bike back, the little 125, of course, like I said.
Who stole my shit?
Yeah, so they took the decals off of it. They broke some shit. We've had to fix some shit. The clutch is damn near gone. They don't know how to ride. But yeah, got that back. Of course, the big one right there has been back. Funny story behind it all. One of these days I'll let you guys know everything that happened. That's why the markings are on the wall, covered up. But yeah. Well, anyways, bankroll 10, bet it up. Okay, this is the rear end housing for the white car up front. So this is a 9-inch. See if I can spin it around here. Shop's a mess. It's always a mess. I'll be trying to get shit done, and sometimes shit just don't work out. This is the housing right here. This is a quick performance housing. This is the one he wanted. It's a little different than everybody else's. The width of this thing, I think somehow these numbers came out, I don't know, it's 58 inches, but I think it's supposed to be 58 inches. So the axles that are for this rear end will be getting cut and resplined once I figure out the exact number. And basically the exact number with the housing in should be like 49.5 is what it should be, because that wheel, the back wheel for that car, has got the 2.5-inch back space. The wheel is by 12, so it's 13 overall billet, and it's got that deep ass 10.5-inch lip, whatever. So the rear end's gonna get narrowed way shorter than that. But it is a badass housing. Of course, the moisture in here, but that ain't nothing but a little scuff pad, get that stuff off there. Once it's all fabricated and the frame is ready, dude's gonna be taking it to get powder coated or painted or whichever way he's gonna do it. And yeah, but it's a nice looking rear end. It's gonna have the super drop boxes on there. The brace style that I do should be able to go right underneath there. But yeah. All right, y'all, quick little update. I know it's been a minute. I'll try to get this video up. These wheels, ever since the first time somebody took them off, they chipped them. If you pop the center cap off first, which is right here, you get this off, you can put your hand in there and you can actually pull this one off without cracking all this. People have dug into the side of here, little screwdrivers popping it. So you guys gotta be careful with doing that stuff, and whatever place you guys take your car to get work done, make sure, you know, if you want to take them off yourself, take them off yourself, so that shit won't happen. I know someone before, when this car was here, was like, oh, blah, 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 thinking I did it. I didn't do that shit. All right, y'all, I got some food on the desk, and we on it. Bet it up. Bankroll 10. Appreciate y'all. I'm out. What up, what up, what up? Bankroll 10, bet it up. I apologize if you can't hear me or hear that. I'm gonna speak up, but My speaker gets metal shavings and shit in it, you know, basically a one-man band up in here, tearing shit up. Getting metal on my phone. I keep my phone in my pocket sometimes I don't, but there's metal shavings everywhere. Anyways, I got a lot of stuff going on. As you can see, you got that killer Chevelle back in here again. Once again, so many of you people out there, excuse me, not everybody, I don't mean that in a bad way. There's so many people that have no clue what they're talking about. And there's sometimes the people that own vehicles ask people that don't know what the hell they're talking about and blah, blah. And people don't tell the whole truth and shit like that. But anyways, this Chevelle has got killer ass horsepower. Killer ass horsepower. This car is fast as shit. You guys have seen the car everywhere. The car blows the tires off. The man puts it in third gear. It's overdrive. It's a 4L80. You can adjust the pressures in the trans, shit like that. I don't know if I've said this before about this car, but this car has broke the rear end plenty of times. The very first time that this car broke the rear end, one of the axles ended up being too short when I narrowed it for these wheels. The car had a set of Moser shortened axles in it. I didn't realize that the axles were shortened. That's how the car came to me. So they asked me to put these wheels on it. So we test fitted the wheel. I had my son take the left rear wheel off the car. We found out it was a bolt-in axle. So I was like, all right, not bolt-in axle, but it was a C-clip eliminator was already on there. So we pulled the axles out. They were a set of Moser axles, boom. I measured them and they measured 29 inches. Now, anybody that knows 12 bolts, a 12 bolt is basically like 30 and a quarter, something like that, 30 inches. So that number was wrong, but I couldn't catch that number was wrong at the time because you got 5 people in here, Gucci's ass was in here, and all kinds of shit was being talked and this and that, blah, blah, and prices. And like I said, the man acts like he knows prices and tries to set prices and all kinds of BS. So again, that was a long time ago with this car, long time ago. So took the center out and how they had it set. They had the shimming done. I never had to take the pinion out. I never had to take that. I took the whole center out, boom. The shims that stayed on the left, stayed on the left. The shims that stayed on the right, the races, this and that, boom. It had an old style true track posi in it. I never noticed it at that time. It wasn't in here for that. It was in here to narrow the rear end. Then obviously the rear end had to be narrowed so much that you couldn't leave the stock lower control arm boxes on there. So did the super drop boxes on there, did the bracing that I do, boom. So we did all that, clocked the ends, put the caliper down, stuff like that. This car, okay, this car. All right. So did all that. At that time, the car had a big block in it. The car was going to get an LS in it, whatever. But I did what I was supposed to do to the car, bam. Well, I wrote down on a piece of paper the numbers, and I wrote down 27.5. I looked at the housing, and the housing didn't have weld marks on it, so the housing wasn't narrow. I didn't double check my numbers on what a stock 12 bolt axle length was, so that's where I messed up. And I've never said I was perfect, never. When I mess up, blah, blah. I admit that I mess up. So this car, again, I don't know when I'm gonna post this video, but today is July 5th. So originally when I ordered, I put down 27 or 27.5, or maybe I put down 27. They ordered the axles themselves, which between the owner and another guy that was sitting here, they came in my shop, they looked at the paperwork, they ordered the axles themselves, whatever. I should have test fit the axle inside the housing to see how much of the axle was going into the center section. I didn't. So the car went out, got the motor changed from the big block. That actually ended up running pretty good when the choke and all that stuff was set correctly, because the car was going down the road and it was sucking the choke closed and it was causing tons of fuel and the car was falling on its face. But the big block ended up being very, very healthy with the carburetor set right. So the car went out, got the motor swapped from the big block to the LS. The car went out into the street, the car did nasty hole shots, everything. The car ran good, everything was fine. The next day, the guy took it for a basic drive around the block. Next thing he knows, it's not moving. It's not moving forward. It's not moving backwards. The car's coasting down the road. It's not whatever. So he pulls over to the side. He looks underneath the car. He sees the drive shaft spinning. The car's not going anywhere. He's like, oh shit. So it wasn't making no noise, not a single noise. So he calls me and tells me, hey Tim, blah, 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 this is what happened. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna put it on the lift and I'm gonna open up the cover. I'm gonna look at the mirror and see what happened. He opens the cover, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong with the gear, nothing's wrong with the center, nothing's wrong with nothing. So then he spins one wheel and the one wheel's kind of grabbing the true track and he could feel it. The other wheel's really not. So he takes off the back left wheel, boom. Come to find out, it was riding on less than a quarter of an inch of splines in the center section. So there you go. The housing was never narrowed for the original axles that were in it that I took out that measured 29 inches. So I didn't double check, whatever. Somebody put those in. I don't know who put them in. I don't care who put them in. We keep having problems. And I re-narrowed it, and that's what put the wheels under more. So I went another inch, boom. We got plenty of spline in the center. Never had a problem with the axles again. The car has C-clip eliminators on it. It has C-clip eliminators on it. Then I had C-clip eliminators put on it again. Boom, put the C-clip eliminators on it and put the 3-inch screw-in, 1/2-inch studs. Well, somehow the Loctite or whatever got loose. Somebody took the wheels off the car, put the wheels back on the car, and when they put the stud back on, the lug was like a little, inside the threads, all lug nuts are not perfect. So it kind of caught the stud and it screwed the stud back into. So if you looked at the studs on the wheel, some of them were sticking out, some of them were sitting in. Well, that ended up, when they left the tire shop or wherever, it was clicking against the C-clip eliminators. Well, eventually it broke the C-clip eliminators. So I had to change the C-clip eliminators again. Put another set of C-clip eliminators on there. It was a pain in the ass to get the other ones off the axles without having the correct tools, whatever. But I cut them, I got them off, this and that. Put brand new C-clip eliminators on there. Drive the car. The car shifting, it's a 4L80 trans, you put it in third gear, you hit the gas, boom. The car would shift so violent that it was like punching yourself in the face. I told the man, hey, listen, it's shifting too hard, way too hard. There's got to be a way to turn down the pressures in the trans. And of course, yes, you can turn down the pressures, how hard it shifts, this and that, second, third gear, whatever. Well, that wasn't done. Then it broke a C-clip eliminator again due to the outside snap ring had broke off, popped out, so it started leaking. Brought it to me for that. I see that it broke the C-clip eliminator, and I'm like, well, what the hell? How the hell? What could have possibly broke that except for the shift points being too hard? Turn around, I put another C-clip eliminator on there, this and that. I never had to open the center of the rear end. Again, C-clip eliminators, bolt in, bolt it all back together, seal it all back up, boom. Now that was back in like November. The car has been driven. The car has been beat on. The car has done burnouts, this and that. And that's fine. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, is everything supposed to last? No. But you should be able to take your car out and beat it and this and that, whatever. So now, there's other things that happen. Motor, supercharger bolt or whatever fell out of it on the inside, something tore the motor up, motor got replaced. The trans got replaced. Now, this is all since then. So stuff happened that broke. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to get mad or this and that, and I don't care because I'm telling the truth and speaking the truth and trying to get to the bottom of it. This guy has never given me an attitude about nothing. It's like, hey, Tim, hey, check it out. Ooh, this is what it's doing. Boom. Now I'm kind of like getting an attitude, and I'm not liking it because he's a real good guy, and it's pissing me off. And you can tell. You can tell. So now, we've been under the car, open it up, the gear, the teeth, everything is worn in night. There's no big grooves. The pinion wasn't too far in, it wasn't too far out. To tell you the truth, when we put the final yoke on here, the big strong ass yoke, my brother was here with me then, and me and him put it together, checked the backlash, all that, had to reshim it, boom, put the yellow grease on there, marked it all, put it in competition mode, all that stuff. How you set the wear patterns, how you set the grease, boom. Did all that, put good expensive grease in it. Obviously the customer bought his own shit, what he was asked to buy to get the good shit. So now I open up the mirror. Now the car was driven here. He's like, hey, let's go for a ride. It's making a little bit of noise. So if a gear is set too loose, you get the howling noise. Everybody knows that. The gear, I've never had a problem with the gear set too tight. You know, if the pinion is set with too much shimming, you dig into the gear to where the gear on the outside will have like a burr to it, to where like the pinion is just too deep into the gear. That's too much shimming on the pinion bearing. So this one I do believe has got, I want to say 30 thousandths of pinion shim, which is perfect. The wear patterns underneath here are perfect. I'm gonna jump underneath here in a second. I'm gonna show you guys. But it's broke a tooth. I think when it broke the C-clip eliminator, we went for a ride that other day, and there was no noise, then there was noise, then there was no noise. So if you would jump on the gas, wham, then you would get a noise. So my theory is, looking at everything, going over everything, talking to professional people that know this stuff in and out, and everybody is like, oh yeah, you know, something broke, and started going through the ring gear and the pinion gear at the same time. So you can see the outside pieces of the gear are broke off. So one of those, when it first broke, probably from shifting too hard, that's my belief, is that violent shifting is what caused it to break. That's what caused the second set of one of the C-clip eliminators to break. So here, let me set up this light over here. Damn it, now I unplugged it. Boom, I'll plug it back in. Yep, you guys are like, oh yeah, we're watching them plugging a light. We didn't know how to do that. Okay, so. Probably can't get it closer. Don't unplug it. So, as you can see, we got plenty of gears, plenty of teeth. The majority of the teeth are gone, like half of it. Half of it is gone. See that? I wish I had more light. Half the tooth is gone. But you can see the wear mark, and you can see that the tooth is square. That's totally square. It's got little nicks in it because of the chunks flying around in here. But there's no sharp edge. It's not cutting me. I'm going deep on there. Boom. There's no cut to my finger, nothing. There's no sharp edge. Everything's set right. I think this little heat mark or whatever this is in the center is every time that gear went around, obviously it's tighter here than here. It's more open. The chunk of one of these right here, see that's broke off, went in between here and in the pinion, and as it did that, it kept snapping these off, snapping these off, snapping these off. So a couple of these teeth around here show up towards this side, show a crack where they're breaking off more and more. So two of these main ones are broke all the way off, but there's like 12 of these that are still intact. They just got little nicks in them. So the backlash to me was set fine. If anybody's got a different opinion about that, boom. When the gear comes off, I'm gonna take it to whoever so they can look at it. Now this ain't, I'm not being told I gotta pay for anything or this and that, whatever. It's just when people ask other people and these other people have no clue what they're talking about, and then these guys are like, oh man, you shouldn't be going through this many gears, oh this, oh that, blah, blah. And then the guys with the, oh, you should have put a 9-inch in it. Oh, well, he didn't have this type of power in the beginning, and he's made more power and more power and more power. Car's got a lot of power. Hasn't broke axles, hasn't broke this and that. Broke a C-clip eliminator. If I have, Jaden, come over here, hold that tire so we can turn this back. You know, true tracks, they lock in when you jump on it. So you gotta hold, you gotta move both wheels at the same time. Let's go backwards, or backwards is hard, let's go forward. All right, so there is another, just broke off tooth. Let's go some more. Look at all of them teeth are just the outside of the tooth. Now somebody had said, oh well, maybe it's because the gear was so far back, or the pinion was too far back. You know what I'm saying? Like it was all the way back here. No, this is from that getting in between the teeth and then breaking it off, boom. But again, the car has nasty power. They finally turned the trans pressures down. He drove the car here like this, had very little noise, thump, 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 then it would go away, then thump, 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 then it would come back. I took the car out the next day or so when it was cold and I wanted to hear it, so I did a little burnout bone. The car still drives like this. Unbelievable. Car still drives like this. Let's go a little more, Jaden. I want to get to the one that's totally broke off. Okay, there we go. There you go. You got one right here that's totally broke off. Now, there's a sharp edge right here because obviously it broke this side off before it broke this side off. That was two different times. Let's go again, Jaden. All right, right here. As you can see, that right there is not a wear mark. That is a crack. So this tooth is about to break off, obviously, because all these pieces were breaking off more and more and more, because all it takes is one. All it took was one of these edges to break off from, which I believe is it shifting too damn hard, too damn violent. It was seriously like getting punched in the head. That's how hard this car would shift. That one time, which whenever piece of these teeth went through the pinion, and it kept putting pressure and popping more off, breaking more, and then it just started getting in more. And this is a crack. Oh, see, that's a crack right there. So it's not a groove from the pinion. So once I get it all apart, of course, I'm going to go through it and show you guys that, this, that, whatever. And I'll probably do it on this video. We ordered the gear and the bearing kit. 12 bolt, this is a 12 bolt, so it's 8.8, this and that. We ordered the Richmond gear this time. This one is a motive gear, or maybe even an Auburn gear. So some people do say that the Richmond gear is a stronger gear, so maybe that's what's going to help us. He did say he just wanted it to get to where he can go to Show and Go 6, you know, because that's the next biggest show and blah blah. Obviously, he has to get more tires. Yeah, that's all. You can see that this tire is not as worn as that tire, guys. So, plenty of burnouts on this car. Everybody knows this car. Everybody's seen this car on everybody's videos. The car has been everywhere. The car tears it up. The car's got tons of power. And it's a 12 bolt. 12 bolts are very strong rear ends. 30 spline axles. So this car is doing a ton of stuff with only 30 spline axles, where everybody else is running 9 inches with 35 spline axles. So center section has to be cleaned out very good. The tubes and all that got to be cleaned out real good. The wheels got to come off, the brakes got to come off, the rotors got to come off, the axles got to come out, drive shafts got to come out, main caps, pinion, all that. Get the shit out of here. So once I get the parts here, I'll take it apart and everybody will see all that. But I just, you know, I gotta drop the coilovers too, because this car's dirty. But anyways, they put this tank in. This tank was never in here before. It still had the old Chevelle tank. So this one is way closer to this. So obviously I can't get the gear out of there with this. So I gotta drop the coilovers, drop the sway bar links to drop the rear end down to get the center section out. And then the shimming that's in there, I totally 100% believe that the shimming is fine. We had all the grease on there. We set the backlash. I have the torque wrench for the pinion that sets that. The crush collar crushed. We went 8 to 10 thousandths of backlash. Put the grease on there, checked it all. Didn't have to change it. We've done so many rear ends, you know. 7.5s are just a motherfucker. They break. They have problems. You'll have one out of like 20 that won't have a problem, but then the other ones all have problems. 8.5s, you know, if you put too much pinion shim, you'll eat the edge of them off, stuff like that. Am I a rear end specialist? No, I wouldn't call myself a rear end specialist on gear sets and stuff like that, on setting it. But I've never seen that in all my years of doing gears. Now, don't get me wrong, when a center section breaks and then it wobbles, or you break a main cap or something, and then you eat all them teeth off, or if the gear was set wrong and it sharpened all the teeth and then the teeth broke and you break all of them off, then you got to have the car towed and shit like that. The car was still driving, the car was still tearing it up, the car was still doing hole shots, everything like this. So that tells you, and with them square edges on them gears, on each teeth, them square edges show that it was set. It was set right. There's no sharp edges. Boom. So, Magro 10, bedded up. I'm talking about that. The 71 killer supercharged LS convertible Chevelle. Damn it. It's hot. It's nasty. It just rained like a motherfucker. And that's that. The white box Chevy, haven't touched. The 9-inch is not here yet for the back, so haven't done much more to this. This Chevelle came in because, like I said, the wheel studs had broke off the back because it had 7/16 studs on it. It's got a big block, this, that, whatever. Took the axles out, had them drilled and tapped, put the 3-inch, 1/2-inch screw-in studs, Loctited them, torqued them, and then put the Acorn open lug nut with the ET, so it's got the extended thread that go inside the wheel, so it centers the wheel real good. Adjusted a little bit of the rear end, set the ass end down a pinch more, softened up the spring. I had the spring at 11 inches, it's a 12-inch. I put it to 12 so that way it'd make it softer in the back. Boom. Little bits of work here and there at different shops. Boom, boom. You guys have seen it at Playboys. You guys have seen it. Well, Playboys is the only other shop that do truss. So, anyways, there's a couple other guys that did some work to it, and he wasn't happy or whatever. But anyways, dude's a cool dude. It needs the billet hood hinges like the silver car. But anyways, we had to take the water pump setup all apart. Boom. The gasket on the back side of it. I don't even know why they make the water pumps with that plate on the back side of it. It just makes no sense. But as you can see, this whole setup. So I had to take the bolts, or I had to take the belt off, had to move the tensioner down. This one's got 4 main bolts that run through, that hold the whole setup on. So it was actually easy to take off and on with leaving everything on it. But we did it the other day, and then the gasket started leaking, and it was leaking between the middle of the gasket. Not on the outside of the plate on the back of the water pump or the water pump itself, it was the gasket. So we got rid of the gasket, used the gasket maker, and boom. Now we have it sitting here, so that way it can sit overnight and all the silicone can dry. So there's no water up to that level or anything. So the silicone should dry. Tomorrow we'll be able to put water back in it, antifreeze back in it. Which, again, today is Wednesday, so tomorrow I'll be able to get this thing buttoned up, let it sit out there and run. It runs at like 180, 185. Before, it didn't even get up to 180. Right at 180, it started pissing out antifreeze in the middle of the gasket. The gasket was a piece of shit. I don't know if anybody knows this brand, but the inside plate of the back of the water pump said China on it. So, take it how you want to take that. So, yeah. That's this one. Wheels are on the back. The white car, like I said, up here. This side, rough cut. The frame. I put up a shorts on it or whatever, or IG, but these are all big dents. They dented, they beat it. They tried to make tire clearance for the old 28s or the billet 28s. And yeah, it didn't work. So we got this side, it's kind of cleaned up. I got my cut in there, but it's not finessed. I didn't get this cut. Let me go to this other side where there's some more light. Obviously, this is a 72, y'all. For you guys that don't know, real fast, a 72 has a solid marker light. See that? 72. There's a little bit of difference in the grill and stuff like that too. But now on the 71s, the marker light is a split marker light. So, to let you guys know, see how it's split. So 71, boom. There's a little bit, like I said, there's difference with the grill and stuff like that, but just a basic idea for you guys, because I know there's so many people out there that want to argue online that they know this and they know that, blah blah. 77, 78, and 79 Caprices. You could change the tail finish panel and put a 79 or a 78 in it. The flat lights like that are 77. When you see the two little grooves in each one, that's 78. And 79 are like on an angle inside with the reverse light in the middle, I think. But that's a different thing. The header panel is the same for 77 and 78. Grill's a little different. Mine is a 77. But people that, you know, obviously these taillights, 71 and 72 are these taillights. A 70 has the square taillight in the bumper. A 69 has a big square in the quarter. A 68 has a little line in the quarter on Chevelles. Yeah. Like I said, see how this grill goes all the way over to the headlight bezel? That one on that car doesn't, so that's a little different. But people can put a 70 front end on the 71, 72 back end, so then that throws you off. And the 70 front end has 4 headlights. But all right, y'all, let's go over here. We got the Malibu right here. So the Malibu, the rear end is up in there. It is painted. The cross brace is up in there. I can't stress this enough that this is not my frame notch. Not my frame notch. And I got the cross brace up in there, boom. I'm about to hang the coilovers on it. So I got the pinion angle, ride height right here, the center from there to a quarter panel down is 15 inches. It is a 24 is 30 inches, so that's the half mark. So I'm gonna go a little bit shorter than that. I'm gonna go up a little higher before I put the coilovers in. The coilovers are 12, so they'll probably be at, let's see, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll probably be at these two at the bottom. And then it squishes 2 inches when you set the car down. So then would be 2 inches inside of there. But depending on where I set this to the cross member, I only have the long tab, so the back coilovers might be on a little bit of an angle. But I'm gonna measure my distance from here to the car and then double check from here to inside here for a true measurement, because you don't know where the quarter was placed, if the quarter was ever messed with on the car. So it equal out if you measure here to here and get your number. You want a 1/2 inch clearance with the tire, or maybe a little bit more. This still has to be notched a little bit farther forward. But as for those measurements, if you measure like from this edge to this stock area here, and you come up with 21 inches, and you go to the other side and you come up with 21 1/4, you shorten the other side, boom. You take your uppers and you put them at the same length. You might have to finesse those a little bit. With doing welding, coilover setups, you have to get the rear end squared up to the frame. You square it to the frame. Now when that coilover hangs in here, that coilover will be straight up and down. And the other one will be straight up and down. If you don't square all this to the frame, you square it to the body, and you put these straight up and down, then you have to move the rear end over, or vice versa. Have to move the rear end over. You're gonna take the coilovers and they're gonna lean underneath the backs of the cars. You can see a lot of cars that are set up like that. These boxes are put on here, measured from this inside, boom. You could find your true center and this and that, and boom. You could measure from the outside before you narrow it, stuff like that. You can put your boxes on. This one has the coilover brackets. I take the gold brackets. This is not the aluminum style setup. We could have done that, but this is a 7.5, so there wasn't no reason to go that serious with this rear end. But I don't know what he's gonna do. He's got a blower motor out of his Blazer that he thinks he's thinking about putting in here. He might do that. I did do the bracing to tie the frame together because he had said that. So we got tubes along the inside of the frame. We got here, I forgot to finish my welds here, and I painted it, so I'll probably just grind this up, put a little half tube in here, like a pie cut piece, boom, weld it. That's something like, it ain't gonna take that long to do. But braced here, braced into here, braced into the lower tray, boom. I painted all this, cut the pockets, put the tube. That's 1.5 inches. I think that's 1.5 inches tube. I didn't use 1 5/8 because I need the room for setting this coilover in. 1 5/8 might have been too far. I could have put the cross brace a little back more or a little farther more, but I'm okay with running the coilovers on a little bit of an angle, and I'm about to find out what that's gonna be. But yeah, the Malibu, I just adjusted the coilovers up in the front. It was on biatch to get them up that high, but I don't know what this rate spring is. These were the customers. He had previously put them in, but when the car came in, it was sitting very, very low, and I went up, I think, another 1.5 inches compared to what he had it. So you can see it rubbed the fenders. The power wire. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of shit that was added, and this and that, and the buddy pack and stuff like that, and blah, blah, whatever. But the starter wire is not connected, and we don't know why it's not connected, and I don't know. It arced down on some shit, whatever. So that needs to be replaced. These are the newer spindles. He put them on, didn't paint them. I could put some paint in here, but I still gotta tighten up this. Did we tighten it? We might have tightened it. But it needs cotter key in the bottom, it needs a cotter key in the tie rod. Oh yeah, it needs to be tightened up, everything. I gotta set the alignment and shit on it. I got the big Corvette brakes on there, boom. Yeah, so slowly but surely things are going. And then Donzel's car, I gotta get that frame. Oh, reminds me, see that right there, y'all? Booyah. That is a 2x3 ladder bar cross member. Boom. I said I had to get it for this car, so I got it for this car. So this is for Donzel's car, which is the Oklahoma Cutlass. So now this will get totally cut off of here. This will be moved. I don't need the lower control arm hole no more because everything's gonna come off of here. So I will be right with the body mount. So probably right through here. And then that'll run all the way across. Boom. I'll keep it lower. And then, or maybe I'll keep it higher and I can tie in all underneath here real good and then have some angle brackets. I don't know. But then I'll come off of it like something like this, but with 2x3. Like I said, this shit is just, oh my God, 1/4 inch. They were building a tank. So yeah, that's what's going on there. But all right, you guys, that's 32 minutes or some shit like that of me explaining some shit, me being, heated about people not listening. And, some people can be very cool, but when they listen to other people, then those other people put the cables on them and this and that. And most of the time, those other people don't know shit or whatever. And then there's the people out there that have problems with cars and they don't say nothing. There's other shops out there that have had problems with cars and cars have come back and stuff like that, and they don't tell you. They don't let you know that this broke or this came loose or somebody didn't tighten something and oh this and all that. Like I said, I'm not perfect. There's been things that happened over the years that were dumb. An upper control arm getting left loose on the car side, like tighten but not tight. And then you get a clang and bang in the back. Then you find yourself taking the upper control arms out and you have to fucking drill the hole from the 1/2 inch hole to a 9/16 hole and put 9/16 bolts in there, which is fine because using the trick chassis arms, trick chassis is the shit. I have plenty of 9/16 hole pieces that go in the arms. I have plenty of 1/2 inch hole, like plenty of metric holes. I buy extra stuff and bearings and stuff like that and bolts. I mean, dude, I got shit to always do it right. I mean, look, brand new grade 8 bolts. Boom. This one is a 1/2 inch. This one is 5/8, which you never use. That one, those. The fine thread ones in here and the gold. Here we go. That's a 9/16 bolt. Box Chevy, you gotta watch out because some of them will be a 1/2 inch hole car and some of them be a 9/16. If you put a bolt in there and it bang, 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 wiggles around, you gotta put a 9/16 bolt in there because it's 9/16. All the front, upper and lower control arms of QA1, they come with 2 different inserts. G-bodies don't because G-bodies have a metric bolt. But box Chevy's full size and they come with 1/2 inch or 9/16 bolts and inserts. So, anyways, Big Girl Tim, Batted Up, Chevelle, Box Chevy, G-Body, Malibu, G-Body, Cutlass, A-Body, Chevelle, B-Body, Box Chevy. I'm tired. Tired, y'all. People push me and push me and push me until, oh, why don't you just give up? Oh, this and that. You know, those other shop owners, you know. Oh, yeah, just give up. Oh, yeah, whatever. There's plenty of work out there, and I'm one man in the shop in a little half plane over there, little bank, you know. But he's working so hard right now, y'all. Ain't that right, Jaden?
Oh.
Yeah, ain't that right? You working so hard over there. Come on, let's hear it. With them little white, little pale ass chicken legs. Look at that.
I'm dirty, ain't I? I work.
What'd you do? The water pump? About one man, 1.5 now, in the shop. And still got some shit going on. But, all right, y'all. Big old Tim. Batted Up. It's anyone Chevelle. Some problems, some not problems. 87 to 89. Box Chevy up there. All right, Batted Up. Appreciate y'all. Hopefully you guys get what I'm talking about. I know most of you do. I know there's some other people that say stupid shit. I know there's the ones that still follow my YouTube just to listen to see what I got to say about shit and this and that. You know, more power to anybody and everybody that does this stuff or is doing this stuff or trying to build their brand and stuff like that. Well, check it out. I've been doing Batted Up Customs. I've been doing Batted Up Customs since 2006. Everybody told me there was no way in hell it was ever going to make it, this and that. And like I said, my designs, my this, my that, there was only a little bit of stuff added from the other person that used to be around that also didn't get anything done, that always screwed everything up, that still owes like 10 people their cars and jobs and money and this and that. And, you know, now he's under the cover of somebody else, so that way you can easily be like, I don't know what to tell you. But Bankroll Tim, Batted Up Customs. I started Batted Up Customs. I was told no, it would never work, this and that. Batted Up Customs, me. First one to mini tow a big rim car. First one to tuck a big rim car in the Chicagoland area. Been around since 2006. Think about it, guys. First ones to do the super drop boxes. First ones to do the frame bracing. First ones to do a lot of shit. And again, it was me, and I had to sit there and I always paid my brother more money than he would pay himself for doing his own jobs, and then he would hold on to people's cars forever. I mean, geez, the one guy he owes right now like 8 years or 9 years. He owes him his car. Another guy like 7 years. I mean, come on. I got Donzel's car right here, this Cutlass, and I think it's just about 3 years, or it'd be 3 years, or maybe it was 3 years in April. Maybe it was only 2.5. I don't know the exact, but I'm honest. I've had this car that long. The whole front is done. I had to replace shit on it, and I've said that before because those parts went on my brother's jobs, and those people were the ones that called me and begged me to get things done, and then he's in here and blah, blah, and then begging me for this and begging me for that, and I had to do what I had to do to get the cars out of here, but then I got screwed. I allowed it to happen, so it's still my fault, but I got screwed, so I had to replace this shit. And I've been trying to get caught up to one car at a time. So many people keep calling. So many people want this. And then I'm getting screwed out of a simple rear frame notch, a simple front frame notch, you know, a car, you know, people hit me. They want this, they want that. They always call me first. You guys, a lot of you guys on there, a lot of you guys on here that still pay attention to my stuff, but you had to take your car somewhere else. If you have to take your car somewhere else because you don't have the patience to wait for me, I totally understand it. Totally understand it. A lot of you guys have went other places and you did not get the quality of work that you would have gotten from me, the detailed work that you would have gotten from me. How I do the frames, how I clean the frames, how I paint the frames. Now, don't get me wrong, Sammy's is raw as hell with running the pressure washer in the shop, the strip around the frames and all that, and boom, and they got the manpower over there to clean up the shop after making the mess like that, you know. They paint the underneath of the frames and stuff like that. It's nice, it's beautiful. And like they say, there's some cars you can't because the cars would be too rotted and messed up underneath. But there's cars that are clean and you can do that. But I have been doing frame cleanups and stuff like that for many years. And that comes with my jobs. I will clean, scuff, whatever, the frame setups, do the bracing, whatever, and paint it from front to back. Spray can, yes. It may chip off later. It may peel later, stuff like that. But most of the time it doesn't. If you got a car that's been worked on a lot after that, brakes, stuff like that, the brake fluid will eat the paint off. You know, I'm not set up for using a spray gun and that underneath the cars and stuff. You know, Sammy's, I give them their props all day long. They got that 3-bay shop over there. They tape off the cars, this and that, boom. When they paint, they're underneath whatever they're using to paint it with, you know. Obviously, they're getting a little overspray in the air. They probably got a ventilation system over there, and they got to have the other cars covered. Me, I try to cover what I can cover, boom. The way I paint, the fan blows to blow the stuff out. You know, that Malibu sitting over there with all that dust on it, the paint that I use does not cause an overspray that will stick to the paint. I've had that. Don't use that Rust-Oleum around other people's cars or stuff like that, or around other nice cars. If you use the Rust-Oleum, Rust-Oleum gets in the air and boom, it sticks, and it will go through that dust. It will go through, my battery's about to die. It will go through that dust and it will stick to that paint, and then you'll have to clay bar your car. It doesn't ruin it, but you have to clay bar it, stuff like that. A detail shop that would know how to get it off the correct way. But I use the stuff that I use, the Krylon, and I paint the shit out of these frames. It doesn't leave that much of a haze in the air, but it doesn't stick to the other cars. I mean, like, this thing has been in here how long, and this is paint on here from painting the inside of the fenders. But if you were to sit here and rub this, you know, you got the dust and the dirt, but it doesn't stick to the paint. And this is the original paint of this car, 1977.
Some of it's shiny, some of it's not.
All right, y'all. I'm just gonna keep yapping. That's been 42 minutes of yapping. We're gonna let the water pump dry overnight, the silicone on it, boom. Fill it up with water tomorrow, let it run. And see if it springs a leak again. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Let's pray, y'all. This Chevy right here was sent to me through Chris, Streetcar Headquarters out of Indiana. You guys do me a favor and jump on their IG and hit that follow. Streetcar Headquarters out of Indiana. Streetcar Headquarters. Chris and the team over there, they got a good team. They're doing a lot of stuff. They're starting to do suspension and stuff like that. But they sent me this, told dude to come to me. Dude was also trying to get to me for over a year and a half, maybe even longer, and you know, he'll tell you that straight up. And how he got to me was through Chris. Chris was like, hey, take it to Tim, take it to Tim. I'll set it up with Tim, boom. Chris called me, boom, talked about it, boom, the car's here. I don't keep a waiting list anymore. I can't. There's too many people, and I've never given anybody a date. If I give you a date and I didn't live up to it, if I didn't honor it, then I'm bogus, but I don't give dates. So you just gotta stay on me, stay on me, stay on me with text. Sometimes I can't even answer comments and stuff like that, but I try to. It's hot, I'm pouring sweat. I got these cars. I know I'm not one of those that likes to be talking on camera, you know, like this. Like, what up, y'all? Bankroll 10, bedded up, boom. Not one of those. I should be one of those. Whatever. Still yapping. Bedded up. Shop's a mess. Shop's a mess. Anybody want to buy these? Let me know. Tahoe, 26 by 12, 40 by 15, 5. Make me an offer. Tahoe bolt circle. They're brand new. They got maybe 400 miles on them. You can see that tons of tread. Got all 4 of them. Not a pit in any of the rims at all. Not a scratch, not a chip. Sitting there, totally covered up. The other one's over there. That one's dirty as shit. Well, not that bad, I guess. Boom. But yeah, let me know. I'll let them go. Bankroll 10, bedded up. See that American flag style trick chassis banner right there? Yeah, trick chassis. That's what it said. Trick chassis. Viking, you know, I give them props, but then again, they don't give me no props. QA1, Dan called me from QA1, and wanted me to be a dealer and stuff like that. I ain't got time to be a dealer for QA1. I use QA1 front, upper, and lower control arms and sway bars. That's it. I use Viking coilovers. I don't use QA1 coilovers. I do put QA1 coilovers on cars, like the Malibu behind me is getting the QA1 coilovers that he brought, and I had to cut out all the rubber pieces and put these badass bearing pieces in here, because the rubbers break and peel and bang and clang and shit like that. So I had to take all 4 of those out, and they're a pain in the ass to get out. I was talking with somebody about that. But yeah, QA1, I mean, yeah, you guys are good, but you guys could use some work. Your arms could be shorter on the front and stuff like that, to clear more on the box Chevys, so that way nobody has to tear up their front fenders like that if the front wheel sits in a little more. All right, y'all, bet it up, bank roll 10, low bank. We over here. There it is. I'm out.